What's going on, everybody? Kevin from Kevin's Aquariums. Just wanted to start out the video by saying Merry Christmas to everybody and saying thank you to all my subscribers. We did hit 50 over the last week and I am very happy with that. I want to introduce you all to my wife, sitting right beside me. Her name is Caitlin.
Hello.
Today we're going to ask her a few questions on what her thoughts are in the hobby. I guess how she feels about the hobby and kind of go from there.
And how to help your wife maybe become more involved in your hobby, or even being more accepting of you. What's that term you use? Multiple tank syndrome?
Yes.
Help your multiple tank syndrome. Let's see if we can help with that.
So first question I'm going to ask is, what were your thoughts when I first started the hobby?
No. I figured, I know you shouldn't assume the worst, but I honestly thought that if he started the hobby that I would end up cleaning it up because he wouldn't finish what he started. I thought he was going to set up a tank and then eventually just get sick of it and not want to continue. So I was totally against it, and then I saw how it was not just a passing hobby. He did pursue and it turned out great. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was completely 100% against it.
So before we start the next question, just to let you know, we're probably going to get photobombed by the dog a couple times. Normally when I'm filming my videos, she keeps him upstairs so that he's not in the videos, but he'll probably pop his head in a couple times. Next question is, what made you start to be okay with my hobby?
It took a while, and thankfully he has loads of patience. And one thing that really helped was, luckily for him, I am an animal lover. So whenever he would go and look at fish at the fish store, it would usually be our local pet store, which is no longer around, sadly, but he would say, "Hey, do you want to go to the pet store with me?" And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be cats and dogs there that I can look at while he looks at his stupid fish. But eventually he was very, very patient with me, even though I was totally against the hobby. And he would be like, "Oh, what do you think of this fish?" or "What do you think of that fish?" And eventually I caught on and I was like, "Yeah, that one's pretty." Or he would ask for my opinion. He'd be like, "What do you think of that?" And I'm not gonna be, totally put up a wall and be like, "Oh, I don't like this at all." I have to be somewhat supportive of him because he is my husband. You can't be completely against what he really, really wants to do. So I was trying to be the good wife and be as supportive as I could. But eventually I started to catch on to the fish hobby because there was fish that I really liked that really piqued my interest. And he didn't force me into anything either. He just was trying to go the way that I guess I wanted to, which was really, really nice.
What did it take to convince you to let me upgrade my tank size?
So I don't know the whole story, but there's a classic story that's about give a wife a house, she'll make it a home. And you didn't just force me into situations I didn't want to be in. You were very, very patient, and before you even did anything, you explained, and the communication in our marriage is great, first of all, which is a huge blessing. But he would say, "Okay, I want to upgrade this tank, but it's going to be this wide by this wide." And at the time, we were in a little townhouse. And you have to remember, when the wife makes your house your home, that's her personal space. That's like her I don't want to say her territory, but it kind of is.
Her bubble.
Her bubble, thank you. That's a great way to put it. But you work so hard to create your home, or your house your home, and all of a sudden the person who has nothing to do with decorating the house wants to put this weird thing in your house, and you're just not about it. But he was very patient, and he would get out the measuring tape 1,000,000 times. Okay.
Which, by the way, fish hate.
Yeah, that's totally true. Maybe we can do a video on that another day. But yeah, he would take out the measuring tape, and the fish are just like, oh, I don't like this. You know, they're freaking out. Yeah, he would just help me along, and he'd be like, okay, it'll be this big by this big. It shouldn't be, you know, and of course, he's heard me say no so many times. That's how we got together in the first place. But as I said no 1,000,000 times. But anyway.
Persistence. Persistence
is key for this one. I just keep asking. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But
it works.
But he would just, and he would even take props and put them in the area and be like, okay, it's gonna be this big. And my big concern was it's gonna look too crowded, and I like a very minimalistic style. So I figured, oh my gosh, my house is gonna be crowded and cramped, and I don't like it. It freaked me out. So, but just kept with the patience, and eventually I gave in, and as it turned out, I love the idea. So it made me more confident in his decisions after a while. So I guess my advice to people who are trying to get their spouse into accepting their hobby, just don't force them. I know it's easier to, what's that saying?
Ask for forgiveness and permission?
You could do it that way, but you're just gonna create a nice big old wedge in your marriage or your relationship, whatever. And that's not really a good thing. You try to go the healthy route by meeting them halfway. Try to, keep them in the loop. And you might eventually have to sit down and talk with one another, saying, hey, I really want to be into this hobby. Can you try to support? But don't say it mean, just... We never had to have that talk because I'm a pretty open person to begin with, but... So yeah, I'm going to say patience. And just try to meet them halfway.
Where would you like to see us in the hobby?
Eventually, I would love to start breeding, and I don't know about selling, because if there's a keeper, I'm gonna really want to keep it. But, I mean, maybe down the road we could sell, or even just because there's so many possibilities. We're right now primarily cichlids, but there's so many cichlids out there that I would love to explore. So maybe, I mean, eventually, sad to say, the Acara that was in this tank recently passed, and he was one of my favorites. So just the other day, we were talking about making a fish tank with all Acaras. So maybe creating, kind of like this tank where it's all South Americans. Maybe just creating a tank with a bunch of electric blues, or I guess more theme tanks is what I'm trying to say. So there's definitely more tanks in our future. And I think one day a long time ago we were talking, and I said, oh, my favorite fish has always been a koi fish. And now we're talking about, we just bought this beautiful house, and now we're talking about putting a koi fish pond in our backyard. I mean, that's no small thing. So I definitely want to go above and beyond where we are right now. I don't want to go too crazy. I don't want no 700,000 gallon tank in my in my basement. I don't want to look like crazy tank people, but we might be on the borderline of that, of where I would like to go. Just a lot of theme tanks.
We could just seal off the basement and fill it with water.
But I like my basement. And that means we would only have a 2-bedroom house again, and I don't want to do that.
Well, then we can just swim with them.
Oh yeah, let's swim with them. How about that? I don't know how aggressive they are towards people. I don't know. I don't think
they're
that
all
they would
small
bite us.
enough, we'd be fine.
But I eventually want an arowana. I don't know. I don't know how they would feel about us swimming with them. I don't want any like piranhas or anything. Not that I have anything against them. I'm just not really for them. But I do really want an arowana, just because I think they're gorgeous fish, and I've heard that they're lucky, and I'm kind of about that. And I've seen them in so many minimalistic Japanese themed tanks. I just think they're so pretty. So more tanks in our future to come is what I'm trying to say, I suppose.
And a pond.
And a pond.
What issues do you see us having right now?
Well, I think I like to go certain ways with the fish tanks. Like, I like certain fish, and you want to try out new fish that I'm just not really about. Like, he really wants a flower horn. I mean, they're cool fish, and I've heard that you can create such a bond with them, but they're so ugly. I'm not about that big cock on their head. It's kind of awful, but I think their personalities make up for it. I think it's safe to say the less flashy of the fish, the more personality they have. Sometimes that goes with women too. Just kidding. But just kidding. And with men, I suppose. But yeah, like you want to go certain ways with fish, and I'm just like, oh God, why do you want that fish? It's so ugly. But at the same time, it's not really my hobby. It is his hobby, and I'm trying to be supportive of his hobby. But I will once in a while chime in and be like, what if we do this instead? So I think it's just we both want to pursue in the hobby together. It's just you and I have different views on what we should do.
Right.
I mean, for the person whose wife is totally against their fish keeping hobby, that's a little problem. You know, their problem is my wife just doesn't like what I'm doing. But yeah, that's our problem at the moment. We have notes. We took notes from online, and then Kevin was thinking of some notes too, but so that's why he's sitting here looking at his lap.
Looking down. We kind of already touched on this one a little bit, but how do you get more tanks or more fish without upsetting your spouse?
Just respect that that's her space that she's working with. And you also have to think about, I think another thing I totally forgot about is, as you can see the tail running across the screen, we had a dog that's kind of what, well, I suppose we both really wanted a dog, but my big thought was my dog is gonna run and not pay attention and crash into a fish tank. So I guess, respect that she's trying to make her house as livable as possible, and for someone like me who doesn't like a lot of clutter, respect that, because you don't want to come home and not love the house that you live in. Like, you don't want to come into your house and just be stressed out because you just hate being there. So that was kind of my issue. I was thinking, I'm going to come home every day after work, and this was when I was working nights, and I would be home by myself because he would work days, I would work nights at the hospital, and I would come into the house and just not want to be there. That's what I was really worried about. You don't want to hate the space that you live in. You want to, love it and cherish it. So just respect her space and just be patient and work something out together, not set up a tank without her or their permission and just, hope for the best. I would say that's one of the things I would really, really, really advise you not to do. Just be, and that goes the same with you too. Like, what if you want, or what if they want to start a hobby and you're just like, oh, why do you want to start yoga in our living room? Just be supportive of one another. I think it's like how would you say, like you're taking turns supporting one another. If you support something of theirs, they'll be supportive of something of yours, and just hope that hope that keeps going. I
don't know if I'd want to ride that roller coaster.
No. The supportive roller coaster, that sounds awesome.
Oh.
I don't think I really answered the question though. Just be respectful of their space and try to find a happy medium. There we go.
If
Sorry.
You're asking for a 90-gallon and she says all you can have is a 45, go with the 45.
Take it. Better than nothing.
So in my experience, what I did, we started with a 55, upgraded to a 90, upgraded to a 125, and then I wanted to add a second tank. And I mean, we had a little 10-gallon in the kitchen, in the corner of the counter, that we were growing fry in.
And the only reason why I allowed him to do that little one was because I was so excited about the fry. And I just wanted them to stay alive, but they didn't. Oh no, I'm sorry, yes they did. There's a couple of...
Yeah, we've still got one or two.
That's right, okay, excuse me.
So then once the fry started getting bigger, I did convince her to allow me to have a 45-gallon that we're now using as our quarantine tank. We got that to allow the fry to grow some more before we kept adding them in, or before we added them in with the others. And then I convinced her to allow me to upgrade the 45 to a 90-gallon so that we could separate the Africans from the South Americans.
Which I love that idea, because that way I just love the iridescent of these guys. So I was like, oh, if I can have a tank filled with this iridescent beautiful fish, then yes. That'd be awesome. And I wanted him to, or he wanted to sell the 45, but I love that tank so much because it's just such a beautiful, cute tank, and it's in really good shape.
Yeah.
And so he had a buyer ready to buy it and everything, and I'm just like, nope, that's my tank. You're not selling that tank.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you know, it's convincing and starting out small, and more convincing to upgrade from there. Mm-hmm. That's the way I did it, the way we did it, I should say. Yeah, I think we kind of covered that question the best that we can. Mm-hmm. Obviously, other people are going to have different answers, but that was our experience.
I think another thing that you did that really helped me out was when you took me to the fish stores, you let me pick out fish that I liked. You didn't say no. You said, hey, what like you kind of narrowed it down to what you wanted to take home, and you said, hey, what fish do you like? What fish would you want to take home? And I'm going to say in the long run, you guys saw a video of it on the 33. I'm going to think of that as, that was like my gift that he made for me as a thank you for being so supportive. And he knew a long time ago that I absolutely love the shell dwellers. I just thought they were so, so cute. And so I don't know if this was your intent, but this is what I'm going to think in my head. And he's like, this is your tank. I'm going to buy you this tank. I'm going to get you the fish. Here you go. Thank you for being supportive. And it could eventually get to that point, and I'm happy with it. And then he taught me how to clean it. I can't really clean it on my own yet. I mean, long story short, I can't do it by myself yet, but I'm learning, so I'm getting there. So not only were you trying to, you know, get me involved by like slowly being like, oh, what fish do you like? You know, like I'm gonna let you pick out the fish that you want, even though I'm wanting these fish and I just want you to. It was like, I don't want to say it was a mind game, and it helps that I love spending money. So
A lot of it was that, you know, we'd go to the fish store together, and I would have so many picked out that I liked and that I wanted, that I would use her to kind of narrow it down to just a few, and then those would be the ones that we brought home.
yeah.
I
So-
kind of.
I'm gonna say in reality you picked out, okay, I like any of these fish, but I'm just gonna make you feel special and pick out.
I'd pick out like 9, and then I'd have like 9 of them picked out, and then be like, all right, out of these 9, which 3 do you want to bring home?
Yeah. So I kind of feel like I'm getting involved, and then eventually it came to be that he wouldn't be afraid to, you know, ask me to upgrade. It would be like that. Now we talk about where we're gonna go from here, and I think it was just the other day we were talking about what we're gonna do with our office. We have big plans for our office, and it was very exciting to talk about. And now we're both happy about it, and we're both excited about it. And it's not just him going, honey, what would you think if I got a 90-gallon? You know, you're not tiptoeing and walking on eggshells, because that's what it used to be like. Because I'm pretty stubborn and I'm a redhead, so I'm a little bit of a firecracker. But I'm not saying he's scared of me or anything. No. but now we're more excited about it together. And in a lot of ways, it becomes a. I'm gonna say we bond over it. You know, because
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because there'll be like weekends where we're not doing anything on a Saturday, and he'll be like, "Oh, let's go up to Forest Lake," and I'll be like, "I'm already in the truck. Let's go."
What did you think when I built my first stand?
So,
This one's a touchy subject.
oh, I feel so bad. So he knows how to build things with wood and everything. It's not the prettiest, but it works. I was a little nervous. Well, when I saw him building it, I was like, it was looking great. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's looking great. I'm so excited about this. And then I noticed how unlevel it was, and I freaked. I figured for sure. And this thing is going up in my like main living room, like my display living room where it's all pretty and everything. And I'm thinking, and it's also on a beautiful hardwood floor, and I'm thinking this thing's gonna fall on my hardwood floor and totally ruin my hardwood floor. And I kind of panicked, and I'm like, Kevin, we can't use this stand. It's not gonna be level. It's not gonna work. So he was supportive of my decision enough that he went out and bought me a fish tank stand. Now the 33, how tall was the stand that you built?
41 inches.
Okay, because the 33 is a foot high, right?
Yes.
And I wanted it more higher off the ground so we didn't have to, you know, duck and look into the tank. So he built me this, you know, this personalized stand just for me, and I didn't like it. So he went out and tried to get him, you know, a stand that was made from a factory. And I got home that night and it was late. And I look at this stand and it's like, what, not even 3 feet high?
Not even.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what is that thing? And he's like, that's your stand. And I'm like, I don't like the stand. So he spent like a good $85 getting me a stand that I liked, and it turns out I didn't even like it anyway. I felt so bad because we ended up using his stand anyway, and it worked. I just wasn't confident in his work, and I felt horrible. At first, I was just so against it. I was like, this is not gonna work. This is so unstable. And I just needed to listen to him, and because he eventually made it super stable. Like, what are those things that you use?
I used door shims to level it.
Yeah, he made sure that 100% it was okay, and it's still standing. Hold on, to this day. But I feel really bad. At first, I was like, this is not okay. I'm not comfortable with this at all. So, to kind of show you the trials that we went through and how patient he is with me, he's just kind of like, fine, you know, as long as it makes it, you know, a little easier for both of us. And yeah, I feel awful about what happened, but so that happened. I can't really take it back now, but so I guess to answer your question, I just wasn't about it, and it ended up me looking like a complete jerk.
That's not the reason I put that in this video.
To make me look like a jerk. I would think I would look like an awesome supportive wife, but in that instance I was not.
Right.
I'll admit it. I'm not afraid to admit my mistakes.
But it turned out for the best.
It did. The stand turned out awesome, and we both painted it together, and when it all came together, there's this beautiful product. And every time someone comes to our house and says, oh, look at this tank, and they're just wowed by it, I'm gonna say, besides the size of this one, the one upstairs is the one my 33-gallon tank with the shell dwellers in it. That's the one that everyone gets wowed over because it's so cute and it's so unique, and he made it for me. And I love saying he made it by hand, and he bought me everything, and we usually don't tell the story of how I'm such a jerk, but I'll always admit my mistake, and I'm sorry to this day for it.
One final question. Okay. This one might be a little harder for you, because I'm going to make you choose. What is your favorite fish that we own right now?
That we own right now?
Yep.
Well, the Akara died, so I can't really say that one. Oh my gosh.
You have to pick one.
So, okay, it's a tie between my shell dwellers upstairs. What are they called?
Neolamprolongus multifasciatus.
That's
is
right.
The scientific name for them.
Okay, it's between that or my okay, by the way, side note, that OB in our 90-gallon, the one with the really pretty, like the salmon, and it's all like shimmery blue, he bought that for me. I'm gonna say,
as a juvenile, he was like an inch big at the time.
Yeah, he was this big, and he bought 3 of them.
I had no idea what he was going to turn out to be, but he just turned out awesome.
He did. And I think one day, I think I was working overnight at the hospital, and he woke me up the next morning, and he said, hey, I bought you something. And we went down to the fish tank at the time, and I see these 3 little, he knew I loved OBs, and I went down and I see these 3 little OBs, and I was so excited, and then I noticed that one had that blue shimmer, and I was like, oh, did you see that? Well, anyway, so it's either, long story short, it's either between those and the OB, and I'm gonna say the OB is my favorite, because I think I'm gonna say that because eventually I want to breed him. I do. I want him to have a million babies that look just like him, because it'll be awesome. And I would love to have a tank with all peacocks in it. It'll just be so cool, and I think it would be a really good tank to have in our future with our million fish tanks. I think it might be safe to say that I have your multiple tank syndrome. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I think I'm starting to get that disease. No, whatever. I'm starting to get that obsession. So I think, and the other thing is I already have 12 of the shell dwellers upstairs. So I think the reason why I'm picking him is because there's a future with him, and I'm super excited about it.
So
I talk way more than you. In your videos, and you're so formal. This is Kevin from Kevin's Aquariums. I'm sorry.
So that's this week's video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And we will post another video next Monday.
Yeah.
Thank you and have a good week.
We got these awesome shirts too for Christmas.
I can't really see it in the
Oh.
camera, but
It says Kevin's Aquariums. It's pretty cool.
we did get some hooded. We got some hooded sweatshirts that say Kevin's Aquariums and on the front, and they have this electric blue Akara on the back. The t-shirts have the Akara on the front, and see if I can get it here. Say Kevin's Aquariums on the back.
There you go. It's not merch. My sister made them for us because she owns a t-shirt making business out in Washington, and we opened these up and we're just, we have to wear them for the video. But if you have any more questions for, I guess, me, I have no problem answering them, or maybe we can even make a part 2, because I feel like we kind of just covered the basics.
Yep.
But try to make it a hobby that both of you can
Enjoy.
and what's the word I'm thinking of?
Take part in.
Where you can bond with.
Oh.
Make it a hobby that both of you can bond together with. You can grow together with. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not that great with words right now. It's Christmas. We just ate, and now we just want to relax and watch Home Alone. My family, since his name's Kevin, my family goes, Kevin! I'll stop making jokes.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next Monday.